So this is a SketchUp model and the interface. I'm just going to walk you through some of the different toolbars in the interface. So at the top here, this is the title bar. So this tells you the name of your SketchUp model and the version of SketchUp that you are using. Now the next one down, that is your menu bar. So just like any software program, you have your typical menus where you have File, and in File, this is where you can, open up a project, start a new project, save your project, import, export, and so on. I'm not going to go into super detail, but I'll just run you through quickly, and everything will start to make a bit more sense once we're actually using the tools. But you have your Edit tab, View tab, Camera. Then we have the Draw tab, which is where there are various drawing tools, the Tools tab, Window, something about extensions, which you will find out soon about me, is that I don't actually use any extensions within SketchUp. I find that they are way too complicated and SketchUp is already so good on its own. Then we have the Help tab, which is where you can find stuff about your license, about your SketchUp file, and you can get help and contact SketchUp themselves. Next is the Get Started toolbar. So that is just here, and this is where you have the essential tools for creating 3D models. So you can also, for more information and editing this toolbar, if you want to add specific tools to it as you notice which ones you're using the most, you can go into the View tab, go into Toolbars, and this is where you can tick on and off different tools that you want to show. So for example, I could say, oh, I want the style tools to pop up on that toolbar. I click that, and that has just popped up at the top here. Now, next is the drawing area. So that's just here in the center where you see this little dining room. So this is where you will be doing all of your drawing, all of your 3D modeling, in 2D and 3D. So these blue, red, and green solid and dashed lines. This is your model axis, which is super important when you are drawing to make sure that things are on the correct axis and not drawing out into weird angles. Now over on right, you have your default tray, or SketchUp likes to call it panels. This is further options to refine your models, and you can customize what you actually see here depending on what you use most. I just use just how it is as set up the default way by SketchUp. So at the top you have entity info. This is where you can see information about the item that you have clicked, so you can see what tag it's in, the instance name, the type, and then whether it is hidden, locked, receiving shadows, or casting shadows. Then you have materials. This is where you can see all the materials within your model, or just the general library. So for example, I could go to just plain colors, and those are all the colors that are already built into SketchUp. You can also edit your materials here. And now is components. So this is all the built-in SketchUp components. You can also see the components that are actually in your model. Then we have styles. So this is where you can see all of the default styles that SketchUp has built in to the interface, or you can see the styles that are applied to a view of yours specifically. You can also edit your style within here. Now, I will go, of course, into so much more detail once we dive into this styles module of this course. You can also see your tags. Tags are applied to an item to turn them on and off. So right now I have some furniture in here, and I have applied a tag, and I can turn things on and off, which is so handy, especially when you are creating different options or you just don't want to see all your furniture, or you want to turn off your lighting or the walls or the doors, whatever it may be, you can play with that. So this is the shadows tab, and that's where you can turn on and off shadows. You can set it to a specific time of day or a time of month. You can play with the light model. You can also see your more scenes. Another place that you can set up these scenes is actually at the top here. So as soon as you set up a scene, a tab will pop up. And you can click on that scene to activate it. I will again go into more detail on this. You also have your instructor. This is if you have a specific tool activated. You can come here if you need a reminder on how it actually works, and some quick tips and tricks on how to use it. Outliner, this is where you can see everything in your model. So right now I have this as a group, and I can actually click down and see what is within that group. So that could be really handy if you have a really large model and you want to find a specific component within that to copy. Then we have the soften edges. That is where you can soften the edge of a model. Okay, next is the status bar. The status bar is just down here. Now it consists of 4 key components. So the first is the geolocation. So you can actually geolocate your model to a specific place in the world. I have never actually needed to use this as an interior designer, but many architects do. Next is model info. So model info is this button here, and when you click on that, it'll bring up this window where you can see many different things about your specific model. And in future lessons, I will tell you exactly what you need to know about each of these, which ones we actually use, and what you don't need to bother with. Okay, now down here you will see some text. And this is your tool tips. If you have, let's just say, the line tool activated, it will give you a quick little tip on how to actually use it. So if you do, especially as a beginner, you may, kind of forget how to start a tool, and that's where you can get a little hint. Now at the bottom right, this is measurements. So it shows measurements as you draw, allowing for modifications of selected entities or the creation of evenly spaced copies. So let's just say I'm using the line tool, and as I draw it, it is actually showing you how long that line is. So that's just as an example there. You really never need to actually click into that box. It's really just there to show you what you're drawing. Okay, and lastly, we have the full tool set. Here you can access all the tools within SketchUp, and each one has a little symbol. You will memorize these as you start to learn the different tools, but you can hover over each one and it'll tell you what that tool is. So that is a really quick overview of the interface. And if you don't like how it is specifically set up, say you don't want this to be on the left side, you can actually move that around and find a better place for it based on how you like to model. Okay, that is it, and I will see you in the next lesson.